So, hello and welcome once again to another interview with the composer. Today with me I have Jamie Dunlap. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me, Jake. I'm doing fabulous.
Great. And do you want to just tell us a bit about yourself, please, Jamie?
Uh, I've been doing this part of the business for I don't know 20 years or so. Kind of an old guy at this point. I hooked up with the show. I was in LA for struggling for a long time, doing whatever commercial gigs I could, whatever that kind of stuff. And around season 5, they apparently their composer left. Great guy. I'm not sure why he left, but uh, I through a friend of a friend I auditioned, and actually my old partner and I, Scott Mickley, and we auditioned at the time, and we got it. And then it's just been a hell of a ride since then, from season 5 to 21, where we're at now. I used to have a business partner. We had a company called Mad City Productions, and we were doing commercials and stuff. And he would be handling a certain part of it, and I would be handling a certain part. And we kind of went off on our own, and the show stayed with me, and we just kind of went from there. And that was like around season 8 or 9, and it's been a heck of a ride.
So, can you remember the first piece of music you wrote for the show? And
Yes.
sort of how that process came to you? And
It was kind of an odd thing. We had a publisher that we worked with for music libraries, and they had contacted him for a piece of Christmas music, Silent Night to be exact, a cappella version, and it was kind of a twisted episode, and they needed somebody that could just bang it out really fast, and we had a lot of singers at our disposal and stuff, and we did this version of Silent Night for them. It was funny because the contrast of it was bizarre. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that flew. And then we did another piece of source music for them, and then their composer left, and then we wound up. I just did a whole. That was right around the time season 5. I think they did that. They were hitting the Taliban thing really hard.
yeah, I
And,
remember that.
yeah, that was my first jump into them, and it was like insane because their schedule, I'm sure everybody knows what their work schedule is. They write an episode in a week and a half and it airs. So for the audio department, that's kind of a tricky thing, because it's down to the wire.
You work off a script, don't you, if I'm not mistaken?
Other clients, that's what we do, but in this case, they just send me, I don't even see the scripts, they send me quick times of every clip. Like today, they've already sent me 3 for the next one, and I haven't started yet. I'll start after this. But it's like what's called animatics, just little sketches, and it more so scoring to the dialogue than picture at that point, because the dialogue dictates the emotion. And then as the week progresses, I see more animation, and then by Tuesday night, it's balls to the wall. Everybody's up for 2 days, and the audio department's the last link in the chain. So any music timings or edits or revisions that I have to do, it's like down to the wire.
Yeah, so like you say, you're at the end, so if you're delayed, then the whole thing gets delayed.
Oddly enough, yeah, oh yeah, and there was one I forget. It was a couple weeks ago. There was because Trey Parker's a genius. He's very spontaneous, and he writes. He'll change. He'll just get a better idea in the last minute, and just like, okay, here we go. Because it. And there was one week where I was down. I was literally 45 minutes to mix time, to the deadline, out the door because they satellite it Wednesday morning for air. That was stressful.
Yeah.
We made it.
Would you say incidental music, particularly in the TV show, has kind of like a serene quality to it that kind of, I personally believe it kind of highlights the parody of the show, because it's quite like, I guess serene would be the word I would describe it as, really.
Well, it's Serene is interesting. Where this last episode, they're all over the place, which is the challenge for me. This last episode was kind of serene. It was very dramatic, very poignant, like almost like wow. It's like very serious,
Yeah.
Where then they'll turn around and do well. In the same episode, we did a version of Dumbo's. Elephants on Parade kind of thing.
Yeah, I actually was wondering where that was from, because I originally thought it was from Fantasia, You know, with the broomsticks.
Isn't that from Fantasia? Is it from Fantasia? I thought it was Dumbo, because I think it's from Dumbo, where I think in the movie the elephants get drunk or something. There's a hole in the water, and they all of a sudden they're psychedelic, and it's like for that time that was pretty spacey.
Yeah, I think it's just a similar style to Fantasia. So
yeah, exactly. That's a great example of Disney. Anyways, they did that in the middle of this whole episode. Trey comes up with this idea because he's really pissed at Kyle, and Kyle, and then it turned into that, and it's like holy. And that was a challenge for me because that's not easy orchestration. Those guys in the old days, they're the real guys, you know.
Yeah.
They didn't have computers, so I had to emulate it. I couldn't do it exactly. I had to get it close for the parody. And to answer your previous question, yeah, the music kind of overplays dramatically sometimes just to hit the joke for the parody.
Yeah.
You know, so the action scene, it's like full on balls to the wall, you know.
So on the other end of the scale, there's, I guess, tracks like Locked Up in Here, the one from the Old People's Home episode. Oh. How do you find those kinds of tracks?
Those are, they actually licensed a few of those things, and then we did a couple things. Bruce over there, my boss, music supervisor, he's also a musician, and we worked together a lot. So
was that not you, that particular track?
I think I did the beat. There's only a beat, like a keyboard or something. Yeah. That was very, the first version was way overproduced. It was like, no, it's got to be just stupid rock. I wound up just being the beat, and Bruce did this little keyboard thing, and that was it, you know. And they're starting to use, they'll license more stuff now, which is kind of cool. They'll use a popular song right in the middle of something, that kind of thing. Most of the time I have to emulate it, though, and it's like, it's fun, it's challenging.
So if you wouldn't mind, if it won't take too much time, and I know we did touch on it a bit, but could you kind of run through the general process of your music writing for the show? Because I think that would be really interesting. Yeah. I wish I should have pulled up one of the earlier QuickTimes, but what they'll usually do is they'll start the way they write over there. They'll just get around the round table and they'll throw ideas out. And then they'll write that part of the script, and they'll go in and record the dialogue immediately. Matt and Trey, they'll just do all the voices at first, just them, and that's where they come up with their chemistry, their magic, because that's the funny stuff, that's early on stuff, and then they refine it, and it becomes. Then they have a few more people now doing voiceovers, but anyways, they'll record the voice, and they'll have the animatic, which is the sketch of the scene, and then they'll send it to me. And I've worked with them so long now that I don't even need to see this animatic. I just listen to what they're saying, and I kind of know where to go with it, if it's dramatic or if it's whatever the scene is. And they use a lot more music now than they used to. It used to be very not music intensive in the beginning, but now it's become a part of the thing, which is, for me, I like, that's cool. So anyways, it'll be like 3 minutes maybe, then I'll get another one 6 minutes, slightly animated. They have a big animation team over there, and then eventually it grows in like 10 minutes, 14 minutes. There's usually like 21 cuts by Tuesday. And each step of the way, things keep moving. There's never a locked cut until the very end. So that would drive a lot of composers crazy. But that's not how they work, and I've just learned how to adapt to that and make it work. So as the animations finished, obviously my timings aren't quite on because you have to hit something. So I just have to tweak that stuff, and by the final animation, we'll get Bruce will call me and just, he's dry as a bone. He's funny. By the time I get that final cut, he's like, "Dude, I got to go to mix. Are you done?" It's like, I just got the cut. Just sure it's still in timing, and. So yeah, I mean, their schedule, I feel sorry for them, all the people that are there, because they're just, but it's part of the magic, In one way, it's great because it's done, it's out, boom. Something's on and on forever, and you lose the magic, Yeah. And so that's basically it in a nutshell. They'll send over songs early on, like this Elvis on Parade thing. They sent that on like a Saturday, like today, whatever, at the end of the day, and
Bruce called me and said, "Hey, you need to do this now because they're animating in the morning." So I did the sketch, and Trey's very musically inclined. He's Book of Mormon. He's a genius. That's some of the funniest stuff I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So he'll send over a sketch, but he doesn't care about timing or whatever. He's so fat. He's got a million things to do. So he'll just bang something out on, or lately he hasn't even banged out an idea on the piano. He'll just sing something rough, or Bruce will throw down a part or something, and then send it to me, and then I'll orchestrate it and finish it, and then it'll adapt and evolve, and it's a fun process.
Speaking of Book of Mormon, I actually listened to it for the first time the other week, and I think it's become like my favorite musical. What do you think of it?
My God, I've seen the play 3 times now, and it's like some of their best work. I think. I wish I'm not a play guy, so I didn't have anything to do with it, but I just love what they did. Trey, that's kind of Trey's background. He comes from that. Yeah, and he's a genius in that area. I mean, when you see it, you're laughing your ass off, but you're also, there's points that are serious, and it's like he has a great way of capturing current times and pop culture and everything, and just making it really funny, but also making you think, wow, that's that magic, and the music in that was incredible.
Moving on to the video games, South Park video games, which you are also the composer of. And what were your inspirations for Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole? I noticed that there's a lot of stuff, especially in the Stick of Truth, that's kind of like Lord of the Rings-esque with the instrumentation and stuff like that. Would you say that's an influence?
It was totally. I mean, Howard Shore's my hero, and Bonds and those guys. But for that one, it was blatantly. I knew what to do exactly because the characters they're spoofing Lord of the Rings, and it was great because that was I got to explore. It went on. They take forever to finish their video games, So there's several. I probably went through 3 incarnations of that before they settled on their direction, and it wound up being a shizer ton of music. It was like, and it was fun because I really had to delve into that realm, and it stayed in that world. And the difference between Fractured But Whole is it's more, superhero kind of thing. The theme was basically that, so it was Marvel Comics, that kind of thing. But then they would inject certain comedy elements where it just went off in a different direction. So this game took a long time. When we finally settled on the direction, it kind of in the last 6 months is when they were actually thematically, for me, it started to take shape. I hope it sounds good. I haven't even heard it. I did so much music for that game, I don't even know what to do. I don't even know. I watched a little bit online of some, how they do this YouTube, they play through the game, whatever. I watched a couple of those. I go, oh, wow, that's what that sounds like.
So am I to presume that you're not a gamer yourself then?
I'm an old school guy. I remember Asteroids and Pac-Man. That's why.
Yeah, sure.
No, actually, the last couple of years, I've really, I haven't played much game, but I've gotten into how it's done side of working with Ubisoft, especially. Yeah. They're great over there, great people. I kind of opened my mind up to that whole arena and how they do. It's very different than what's kind of similar, but different as far as what you deliver for audio, and it's a different animal. There's more time to do it, which is kind of cool. But the delivery specs are different, and it's just kind of a different animal. So I'm educating myself into doing more of that because I enjoy it. It's fun.
I've seen a lot of people commenting online that one track in particular from Fractured But Whole is very reminiscent of the Powerpuff Girls. Are you a fan of the Powerpuff Girls?
Yes. My kids used to watch that, and my daughter, so I remember seeing a few of those way back in the day, but I didn't remember what the theme was like, so they said they wanted to sound just like this, as close as you can get. And it's like, okay. And it's kind of cheesy, but it actually works. It is what it is. It's supposed to be that, as opposed to going, they wanted to define the characters instead of making everybody super badass musically. So that one kind of went a little retro and that direction, and that's what's cool about the show. What I like about them is they're not afraid to go everywhere.
Yeah. You were saying that you're getting more into sort of the video game side of things. One thing I noticed about Fractured But Whole compared to Stick of Truth is that the dynamic music, like between the transitions between battles and then exploring, kind of flow a lot better. Would you say that? Yeah. Is that like a process you went through, or did you just do you work with anyone else to sort of get those?
Actually, Nicholas over at Ubisoft, he's a great guy. He's a great producer. He kind of starting this game. He knows what it's going to end up like. So he knew how to direct me because at times you can't see the forest for the trees because you're working on this piece and then you transition. So he knows what he was doing. So that really helped me define to what you see now. That it's a smoother transition as opposed to the first game. I imagine it was a little clunky in spots, but. In this game too, there was so much music, and I gave them plenty to work with, so they were able to, have as much as they would need. It was a great experience. I'm looking forward to. Now we're going to work on the DLC version, starting any day, actually.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, it's going to be fresh music. It'll be the same, similar. They're going to reuse some stuff, but I think it's going to be I'm not sure what they're going to do, honestly. I don't know yet.
So I had a look on your IMDb page, and the credits are quite extensive. You seem to have worked on a lot of stuff. So I wanted to ask you, other than South Park, do you have a project that you're sort of most proud of working on, and why? Maybe South Park isn't your most proud work. I'm not sure. I'm not presuming that.
To me, I'm most proud of because they basically taught me everything I know about. I mean, I could feel like I could go do a movie now.
Sure.
I started in this business with my old partner Scott, doing just source music. Because we were musicians, we're just band guys, So we would do tracks. But back before music libraries were prevalent and everywhere, there were very few, and so it was a good market to get started for somebody like me. I realized I'm not going to be famous rock star, and so I want to stay in the business. I'll get in the production side, and we got him. And we worked for this guy named Mark Ferrari, Master Source, and he would do a volume every year. We did like 10 volumes, and every volume would have rock, jazz, whatever, all these different. But his library was kind of different because it had vocals, and a lot of people weren't doing vocals, and they were very fully produced, like it was not a library music, it was like a song on the radio. So I cut my teeth doing that for a long time. I'm very proud of that because a lot of those credits you see that's what that's from. They're song placements. Yeah. And this publisher was a very aggressive go-getter, and he a lot of publishers don't. They just sit there and wait for shit to happen. But he just went after it, and that gave us a good start. And then we got more into the visual side, doing documentaries and that kind of thing. I love doing documentaries because you realize what a thankless job it is on their end. They're not doing it for the money. There's no money in it, really. It's just passion, and I really like doing those. Every year I do a couple of those. And then I worked for Disney for quite a while. I didn't stick with them, though, because it was too much. I took on too much. Like in 2014, I was doing the show and this, and I hired people, and I'm just kind of like, I'm a low-key kind of guy. I don't want to be a big company. I just kind of scaled back down and keeping it simple.
Sure.
But I was proud of the Disney stuff, but they're in the box. You can't stray out of the box, and that just drove me crazy.
A box that absorbs other things as it goes along.
Exactly.
I'm guessing that you sometimes you're watching something and a piece of your music will sort of come on and you'll be like, ooh, I wrote that kind of thing. Yeah.
It's kind of neat. In the beginning, I was fascinated with that, and I would watch the show. I watch the show. I don't watch much TV anymore. I just kind of clear my mind from from things. Being out here where I live now, I just I want to have a clear template, you know.
I don't mean in South Park though. I mean like just generally, like if you were ever watching something.
A movie, or we used to go to a movie, and I didn't know the song had been picked for the movie. Wait a minute, that's my song. That's kind of fun. It's neat to hear that, you know, especially if it's a full feature. It's not just way in the background or something. You know, that's fun to you know, to hear that and see that. And,
is there any advice you could give to aspiring composers that might want to be in a similar position to yourself at some point in the future?
Well, have a very thick skin. Don't get too discouraged when they tell you suck 20 times. Just just make sure it's what you really want to do. And if it's what you really want to do, don't stop. Just go for it. That's how you'll develop your edge. Because it's very fiercely competitive, and you know, especially with these guys, you put your ego on the shelf. You have to strive to be proud of what you do, but at the same time, just got to go, okay, next, let's go. You know, you can't dwell on it, and you can't let because you got to understand the pressure they're under. You know, if they put something in and it's not quite working, you know, what's the problem? You know, you have to take it. Some people are just pain in the ass. Maybe they don't know what they're talking about, but most of the time they do, or they can't convey it. A lot of the biggest problem is producers don't convey it in a way where the musician understands it, and so it's the musician's job to translate that and interpret it how it should be. So that's the biggest thing. And once you get over that ego thing, or it hurts your ego, or whatever, then it's fun. It's just, I mean, you know, it always hurts when you get rejected. You're never going to get rid of that. But you just move on. You just say, okay, what can I take from that and learn? And so next time I'll know. The biggest thing is try to figure out what they want before they even know what they want. And then, so your first version, it took me a long time to figure this out. I would always go off on my own. Well, that's going to be great. I'm going to do this. No, listen to what they're saying. You know, don't overdo it. You know, just try and nail it in the first round so that it makes it easier as you go. You know. Did that make any sense?
Yeah, made sense to me. Okay, well, thanks a lot. That was Jamie Dunlap of South Park. Thanks very much, and I'll see you.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
Bye.